Good evening, everyone. If you'll take a seat, please. We'll call this meeting to order at 7:01. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Jim Comstock, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And I hope everyone has received via email or a copy of the agenda. And I would look for a motion to approve the agenda. Thank
Second.
you. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Okay, and we'll move right on to, it's not 7:05 yet. We're not supposed to skip ahead.
We got done early last night.
Anyway, so we'll move on to our 7:05 agenda item. And we are very fortunate to have Pete here from the fire department, from South Lake County Fire. Paul Duncan is on vacation, so you must have drawn the short stick.
I did. Sure did.
So I will turn this over to Pete, and I'm sorry, I've already forgotten your
It's okay.
last name.
I'm Pete Avancino. I'm a battalion chief for CAL FIRE. Also represent South Lake County Fire as well through a cooperative fire protection agreement. For fire season update, if you haven't noticed already, it's here. The unit has been fairly busy so far. This year we had a major incident out in Colusa County already, the Sites Fire, which is, we brought in one of our incident management teams to assist us managing that fire. At the same time, we also had the Point Fire, which is over in Sonoma County. Most recently, we had a couple fires, one being the Toll Fire, which is on Old Lolly Toll near the county line. And then also, we had the Adams Fire in the Lower Lake community. So for fire season update, as of right now, there is quite a few fires burning in the North State right now. We just recently concluded one in Butte County. The Shelley Fire is burning in Siskiyou County, and we have quite a bit of our resources committed up there right now. Not only state resources, but also local government resources as well. For the Middletown area, South Lake County Fire is staffing an OES engine, and they are assigned to the Shelley incident. And then also we, with CAL FIRE, have hired South Lake County firefighters to staff an engine, and they're currently stationed at our Middletown station right now. As we are coming out of kind of a heat spell right now. It ends on Saturday, thank God. And we're going to kind of get into a cooling trend. But with that, there is some lightning expected in the north part of the state. It's not really going to affect us here in Lake County, maybe the very northern part of Lake County, but not in the Middletown area. We have pre-positioned resources in preparation for that across the state as well. That's it. Is there anything else you wanted me to cover?
How staffing and equipment.
Okay. So like I said, we have borrowed some of the South Lake County fighters, staffing up one of their engines to cover CAL FIRE stations, but they're currently stationed here in Middletown, so they're still here. Our volunteer corps right now is very, very strong. We have a good group of about 15 to 20 that are very active within the South Lake County Fire Department, and their training is ongoing and continuing. Even today as we speak, the guys that are hired, they did some auto extrication and quite a few other things. Equipment-wise, our fleet at South Lake County Fire is doing really well right now. Again, 2 of them being hired. But everything else is going good. The ambulance is currently staffed as well, and they have been fairly busy the last week or so with calls for service. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We do need all questions at the mic.
Yeah, question for everybody. We've kind of got stuck this year between
Introduce yourself.
Fletcher Thornton.
Thank you.
I live here in Middletown for some time. I have a statement and then a question. One, we've gotten ourselves wedged between when the rain stopped, and we always wait till the rain stops and the grass stops growing before we cut. Well, that period of time between they stopped growing and it was dry enough to kill somebody was very quick.
Yeah.
Now we're in a situation where time is marching on, and we're just afraid to mow, which we are required to do along property lines and so on, behind houses. Because you can start a fire, even if you have a little water buffalo or some source of water, as dry as it is, it could really get out of hand.
Yeah.
Would you suggest that we not mow at all until we get some kind of relief or moisture?
I'm gonna let my predecessor introduce himself and answer that question for you.
So my name is Mike Wink. I also work with Pete Avicino at CAL FIRE. We were just talking about this topic this afternoon because in the 6 counties that we cover, it is a big area of concern for a lot of people, not just you, Mr. Thornton. And, we're trying to figure out how to best communicate that because people want to do the right thing. But we've also seen the people out doing those activities have unintentionally started fires. Okay, so use your best practices. Look at the machines and tools you're using for the owner's manual. A lot of those machines will say do not use in tall, dry grass. Do those activities as early as possible in the day. Try to limit your activities that would cause any type of a spark, and have your extinguishing tools within 25 feet of where you're working. So have water, have a shovel, have a hand tool, have the ability to call 911. There are cases where people have done all of those things. They have water and everything, and they still have started a fire, and they've got it put out because they had those measures in place. Our public information team is working on just a couple simple bullet points that I just covered. Do it as early as you can in the morning. Make sure you read the instructions from the manufacturer of the tool or device you're using that could cause or start a spark from friction and or metal on rocks or metal on metal. And try to limit any activities in the afternoon that could cause a spark and start a wildland fire.
Let me follow up on that question. I understand that, and our tractor has a shovel and extinguisher and all that. But the county has regulations relative to when you have to do that kind of stuff. And because of our property being at the back of a whole residential area, as you know, those people are concerned. And when they get concerned, they call the county, and the county calls me and says, Fletcher, you got to mow. But I don't want to mow now. It's crazy out there. That grass is like a fire starter. That's what it is. And is it worth taking a chance, or will the fire department give us some backing on not doing it until we get some moisture in the air, or it becomes less dangerous?
Well, like Pete said, there's a cooling trend coming, and all I can say is you got to do it early in the morning. There's no, we can talk offline about that specific example because that's such a large property, and maybe we can work on something together to meet the county's needs, meet the property owner's needs, because that impacts so many people. But folks that are just doing your yard, do your activities early in the morning, follow your manufacturer's instructions.
I'll give you a call.
Thanks, Pete.
And I'll add to that too is that, most of the time, in other years, you've been able to do most of that mowing in one day or a couple days. Well, it just might be extended because the time that you have that's allowed for you to mow is shorter, so it's going to take a longer duration to get it done.
We've got a lot of frontage, so.
Yeah. No, I understand. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Rosemary. I just had a letter from my homeowner's insurance saying that we would get a 2% discount for being a fire-wise community. I live in Middletown, and I've been to a million of these meetings, and I can't remember. I think Cobb is. Are we? Is it time?
I don't believe you are, No, I don't believe you are. And starting a Firewise community is an undertaking for the community to do that.
I recall. Do you help with that?
We do help with that, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, should we talk offline?
Sure.
and start that up?
Sure.
Is Hidden Valley?
No. Yeah.
I have a question. A couple of years ago, there were members, I know because they came to our property, but there were members of South Lake CAL FIRE that came and were walking around the neighborhood and talking to individuals about how they could make their property a little more fire safe. Did that happen this year, or
Yeah.
I know it's a lot of ground to
Those
cover.
are our defensible space inspections, and we try to get around to as many properties as we can. With the fast start to the fire season that we've had, we've been more concentrated our efforts on the fire suppression side. But it is one of our on our to-do list to keep out in the community and keep doing those defensible space inspections. And if you ever feel like you need one or need to talk to one of us to help you with that, we're always available on the phone, and we can set up an appointment and come out to your property when it's convenient for you and help with that.
I also have a question. Is this on?
I don't know.
Is this on? Okay, can't hear it. There's an area on 175 before the fire station in front of the church that has wild oats about 3-4 feet high. And I'm wondering, should I report that? Can you guys get out there and?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm happy to talk
Okay.
offline. With
I
you about
don't
that.
know who owns other than the church, but it's scary because that's right where the fire was last time.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, we can talk after this, and we'll
Okay.
we'll go. Into
I'm
all that.
reporting it.
Yeah, yep.
Any other questions? Well, thank you very much,
Yep.
Pete.
You're welcome. It's okay.
Sorry. It has been really, really
That-
hot.
That is my name, so you are good by addressing me that way.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for coming
Yep.
and sharing some thoughts with us, and also to Mike Wink, thank you for being here and sharing some thoughts. You are free to go.
Thank
Your name is Monica.
Yes, my name is Monica, and I will invite Under Sheriff Luke Bingham to take the hot seat. And the mic is yours, sir. Thank you very much for being here today.
Well, good evening. I don't have a whole lot to really talk about, just kind of give an update with the current staffing of the sheriff's office. Since I was here last, and since Rob Howe was here last, we've actually made some really good strides within the sheriff's office. We're only 3 Deputy Sheriff Corrections officers down in our correctional division, and we are currently 5 down in our patrol division, and we have 2 in the Siskiyou Academy right now that will be coming out in December time to hit the street in the FTO program, and we're still running recruitment training and hoping to have another 2 to 3 hired within the next couple of months to send to the next academy. So pretty drastic changes from a year ago when we were down 16 in our correctional facility and 11 on our patrol staffing. So we've made some pretty significant strides in that area. I do like to thank the Board of Supervisors for the efforts that they helped us with last year with allowing us to, unfund is the incorrect word, but allow us to move some of those positions around and use some of that funding to give some badly needed pay raises to our correction officers and our patrol deputies, which definitely helped with some of our recruitment and especially retention. It kept some people that were looking to leave here in the county and working for the sheriff's office. So things are improving, and we're hoping that they're going to continue that way. And we're starting to see a trend across the entire profession where that's starting to change. We're getting more people interested in law enforcement again and moving in the right direction, which is definitely going to benefit our community and hopefully get back to those things that we used to have, beat deputies and the other assignments that we have within our department that we've had to kind of pull back on and to staff patrol divisions. So pretty much it, and I'll answer any questions anybody has the best that I can. That's really all that's really going on new within the sheriff's office since the last time Rob Howe was here.
I have a question.
Yes.
The last time you were here, you mentioned that you were going to assign someone here in Middletown. You said it would take a year. But that is still the plan?
That is still my goal. I want to, I'm hoping, as long as staffing does not deteriorate, my plan is that every community will have a assigned beat deputy that will be assigned to that beat. We have 4 primary beats, which is Kelseyville, the North Shore, Clear Lake Oaks, and then Middletown are our 4 primary beats. There'll be assigned beat deputy to that community, and that deputy will be responsible for coming to meetings like this, working with the community, talking to the community about their problems within the community, and working on that community-oriented problem solving within the community. Because again, like I said before, last time I was here, we can't provide services to Middletown the same way we provide services to the North Shore. The problems are different, the needs are different, and we need to be understanding of that and work with those communities to understand those needs and what the community wants from us. So yes, that is still my goal, as long as staffing holds and we continue to improve our staffing.
It's my understanding
Make her-
Never mind. That's too much work. Be a citizen nowadays.
Any other questions from the audience? Come on, our undersheriff has come from a long way to be here with us tonight.
I'm Jim Comstock, and Luke he's pretty low-key. He needs to say what he's been doing the past few months. We're really proud of him.
Thank you.
What have you been doing?
Now you could ask me to kind of brag about myself a little bit. So 5 years ago, I put in for a highly competitive program with the Federal Bureau of Investigations. It is extremely difficult to get accepted. I started the process 5 years ago. It's basically the FBI National Law Enforcement Academy. It is held 3 times a year. If you do the math, roughly there's 800,000 law enforcement officers across the United States. Only about 700 get to attend the FBI National Academy per year, and it's also international, so 25% of the students are international students. And the whole concept behind the FBI National Academy is bringing consistency to law enforcement so that we all get to collaborate with each other, make those connections, and say, okay, what are you guys doing in Florida? What are you doing in Texas? How can that benefit the community in Lake County here in California? We make those connections and collaboration. So in March of this year, I got my selection and I was appointed to the FBI National Academy, and I went to the 10-week training in Quantico, Virginia. It's a live-in full-time academy for 10 weeks. And I stayed out there for 10 weeks, and I graduated on June 6th of this year from the FBI National Law Enforcement Academy. So, thank you.
I'm excited to make the trip. It's my understanding you're moving the office that you're now in out to the highway. I don't know the name of the road out there. You're
Yes.
going to relocate?
Yes.
How far along are you on that? Do you know?
Yes, we are in phase 2 of that project. We started that project a year and a half ago. The old National Guard Armory out by the correctional facility, the National Guard, the 649th Engineer Battalion gave that up. The National Guard, with the county, under a land deal, swapped properties. They gave us that property, and we gave them property in Clear Lake, belonged to the county. The county gave that to the sheriff's office for a new facility. So we are in the process of developing that National Guard Armory to be the new sheriff's office main facility, the main office. So we'll be moving from 1220 Martin Street, hopefully, fingers crossed, in the next 3 years, out there to that campus. It's a huge benefit for us, number one, because we have completely outgrown the facility that we're in now. This will add an additional 15,000 square feet to the size of the sheriff's office. It is also going to be built with a second story in it that's going to be undeveloped, just the infrastructure for the second story, which will give us about 5,000 square feet that over the next 25 to 30 to 40 years we'll be able to move into that second story as the sheriff's office grows. The whole goal behind it is so that we're not constantly hopping buildings. We want this to be our building for the next 50 years, and that's how we're designing the building, is to be a 50-year home for the sheriff's office. It also benefits the community and the sheriff's office because the entire sheriff's operations will now be on one campus. We have our dispatch center, our OES office there, we have our correctional facility, and then we'll have the sheriff's main office will all be on one campus. So when the community comes to the sheriff's office and they have to go to the main office in the correctional facility, it's going to be all on one campus, which also benefits the sheriff's office because now we have an ease of communication and command and control because we're all in one location. benefits the county in the fact that we're going to be able to move out of the building that we're in right now, which alleviates that building for another department that's outgrown their building that can now move into our building, remodel it, and it's just a trickle-down effect for the community.
The building you're in now, is that a county building or a sheriff's building?
It is a county building.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. Sheriff, I have a question about arson.
Introduce yourself.
My name is Tom Grossi, sorry. The question is, do you have any staff that are specifically trained in the investigation of arson as it relates to wildfires rather than, say, a home or a building? Do you have the personnel?
The answer is yes and no.
Okay.
So I'll explain that real quick if I can. So we rely on the fire departments heavily for the initial arson investigation. They are the experts in that. So they'll come in, they'll look at a fire, they'll tell us this is the ignition point, this is what we believe our fuel source was, this is how it burnt, and we believe this is arson because of X, Y, and Z. Once they make that determination in conjunction with us in a cooperative investigation, then our detectives then take over that investigation from that point. So they are trained in arson investigations as how to investigate an arson, but not how to determine how it started, potential fuel sources, and the actual burn of the fire. So we work together with the arson investigators, and then once it's determined to be an arson, then we take the investigation with their assistance and take it all the way through to prosecution.
Okay, so from hearing right, they have the technical knowledge to initiate an investigation, and they may pinpoint a person or persons that possibly could be responsible, and from there the sheriff department takes over. But as far as the technical aspect of investigating an arson, which I'm sure can be complicated,
Yes.
is there someone that's capable in that regard?
Within the sheriff's office, no. We rely on the fire arson investigators for that
Okay.
technical determination on whether it's an arson or not.
Yeah.
As far as tracking the people down, search warrants, all of that,
That's your
that's where
stuff.
we come in and take over
That's your
there.
deal. Okay.
Unless, and I will caveat that with, unless it is a state responsibility area, like an arson for a forest fire or something like that, usually the CAL FIRE investigators will run that entire investigation, and we will obviously support them during that investigation.
And do you have any dossiers on arsonists that are in Lake County?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Sheriff Bingham. Thank you for coming. My name is Kate Schmidhopper. When you visited with us last time, you mentioned that you've had the challenges of trying to retain personnel and the challenges of matching the salaries to the jobs where people would be trained and then they would move to areas where the salaries were a little bit higher. Have you been able to meet some of your goals for adding personnel? And what have been your strategies for counteracting that problem where you are having trouble retaining the officers that you train? Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Quite frankly, we are never going to be able to compete with Sacramento Valley or the Bay Area. We just can't. We don't have the tax base, the industry, the economics to compete on a monetary basis with those communities. Quite frankly, Napa County deputies probably make $16 to $20 more an hour than my deputies make. So that's a big draw. What we try to focus on when we're doing our recruiting is, number one, kind of a homegrown aspect, is looking at members of our community that are interested in law enforcement and then hiring within Lake County. But then also when we're doing recruiting outside of Lake County, we don't heavily focus on big city areas like the Bay Area or Sacramento. We tend to go further north into rural communities, Red Bluff, Anderson, those areas, so that when we get people to come here, they understand the rural lifestyle, they understand what they're getting when they come here. You know, San Francisco at 2 o'clock in the morning, you can call up and have a pizza delivered to your house. 9:30 at night here in Lake County, good luck even getting a pizza from the pizza shop. So you have to understand those limitations to where you're living. So we heavily focus on that, where we didn't used to do that. We just hire anybody we could hire. We're heavily focused on people that are coming from the rural area and within our community. I think also one of the things that we benefit here in Lake County, number one, is that we have, and I've seen it, and hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn, we have a large support for our sheriff's office from our community. And that's very important, especially when you're working in a community. You want your community to value what you're giving to your community. They don't necessarily get that in the bigger agencies, and I think that helps us retain people in Lake County because of the support of you guys of the sheriff's office. And then we also really focus on the culture of our department within the sheriff's office. Because again, if you're not happy where you're working and you're not getting paid well, you're going to leave. But if you have at least a decent quality of life with what you're getting paid, and you really enjoy where you're working, and your agency and your bosses are investing in you and investing in your career, you're more likely to stay within the department or within the agency that you're working for, even though maybe you can go over the hill and make a little more money. Of course, when you go over the hill and make more money, it's going to cost more money to live over there, so it could be a wash sometimes. But we focus heavily on the culture of our department. And quite frankly, I have deputies that, even though I've been with the sheriff's office for 26 years and I'm the undersheriff and soon to be the sheriff, when they come in the office and they say, "Good morning, sir," I kind of stop them real quick and say, "Hey, it's Luke. Just call me Luke, Jim, or Bob, or whatever," because I want that culture within the department. And I just remind them, in the community, when we're busy and we're doing stuff, then yes, it's sir and it's undersheriff because that's the rank structure that we have. But within the office, I want just to be on a first name basis internally within the department. And that builds that culture of feeling like they're wanted and they're valued within that agency. We heavily focus on training. That's one of my biggest things. We're going to actually, my goal right now, I've got one of my lieutenants working on it, is a cost analysis to actually increase our training that we're currently doing right now. And hopefully I'm not getting too long-winded here. That benefits both the community and the sheriff's office, because again, if our deputies and our employees are seeing that we're investing in them and investing in their careers, then they're more likely to stay with us. But then it also benefits the community, because the more training, the more confidence that you can put in that deputy, the more likely when they come to your house, they're going to do the right thing. They're going to have the knowledge and the training and the confidence to make the decisions that have to be made to better serve you. So those are the things that we're really focusing on within the department to hopefully retain people and provide a better service to the community.
Hello, Helen Owen. And I had talked to Willie Cepeda in Clear Lake, and one of the programs that they have put together, which I think is phenomenal, because I'd had it in the back of my mind when I first started running for supervisor, and I was hoping that maybe the sheriff's department would like to expand on that as well. But that is, he's went into the high schools, and they've gotten credit for taking their different fire classes, and they can get their college units as well as their high school units, and they're hiring directly out of these schools and sending them on. And because they're local kids, you're providing employment for our locals that want to stay here. And they said that they're retaining a higher number of cadets.
Yes.
So I didn't know if you guys would be interested in something along those lines.
We've looked at programs that are somewhat similar to that. It is difficult for us to hire out of high school because of two factors. Number one, in order to be a sworn deputy, you have to be 21 years of age, at a minimum, to even attend an academy. To be a correctional officer, you have to be 18. From my experience, on average, of the men and women that we have attempted to hire that were between the ages of 18 and 22 years old, they do not pass a psychological evaluation, which is mandatory per California law before we can hire them as a correctional officer or as a deputy sheriff. So we struggle with that. And they're not passing because of any reasons other than their age and lack of lived experience.
Sure.
And that's why the psychologists that we're using will not give them a pass to be a law enforcement officer. So we struggle with that as far as pulling them out of high school. What we're looking at in the sheriff's office is, it was brought to us 2 years ago during one of the civil grand juries, was either an internship program or a CSO program. I haven't really decided which direction I want to go with that right now. We're kind of at the very beginning stages of that. I like the internship program. The internship program would look something similar to, we would have 5 to 6 positions out of high school up to the age of about 22 years old. If you were going to college and you were seeking a degree in criminal justice, then you would come work for the sheriff's office for 20 hours a week, and that would be a paid program so that you get a feel for the sheriff's office, the culture of the sheriff's office, and what law enforcement is about. So we're looking at that idea, but then also the other idea is starting a CSO, which is a community service officer position, which would be more of a full-time paid position that can service the community in simple things like counter reports, desk reports, going out and doing checks for different things, vacation checks. I'm going on vacation this week. I'm going to be gone for a week. Can somebody check on my house? We can have them doing those kind of things, supporting our evidence technicians during crime scenes, supporting our deputies during major incidents and those kind of things. So those two options right there to get them into the sheriff's office, let them learn about the culture, let them build their knowledge, expertise, and lived experience. And then when they're 22, 23 years old, then transition them into that deputy training program, get them off to the academy or the correctional academy and bring them back as a deputy sheriff corrections or as a deputy patrol.
Okay, and what I was kind of looking at was more like offering some classes, like whether it be first aid, whether it be law enforcement 101, criminal justice, some things along those lines at the beginning steps where they can get double credit. So if they just decide to take that career, they already have some of those classes under their belt, and yet it will also introduce and perhaps get some kids interested that are here that might not otherwise know.
Yeah.
And
No,
so that's what I'm
I wouldn't have a problem with that. I think that's a
in the
good
high school
thing.
levels,
Yeah.
just to kind of get them interested and let them know what's
Yeah.
out there.
I think that's a great thing for the schools, and also I think it's a great thing for my deputies
Yeah, I do too.
to get out there and have that interaction. So.
I have a question, or I'd like, if you wouldn't mind commenting. We should probably discuss this offline. But we were going to have a guest here this evening, but unfortunately she has COVID. So, but I know that she offers a lot of support in the behavioral health area out in the field. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so that's one of my biggest goals also within the first term of being the sheriff is, and I don't know if you're talking internally within the sheriff's office or to the community.
To the community.
To the community. And so this is where I kind of waver on this because and you'll hear me say this a lot. I'm a big believer in staying in my lane. My expertise in my lane is law enforcement. And that's what I tend to stick to, and I don't really like to get out of my lane. Our behavioral health department, they've got some, I've met with Elise Jones many times. They've got some really good ideas. They've got a lot of good things going on. There's a lot of funding out there for them to bring in additional counselors, to bring in additional psychologists and that kind of thing onto that staff to provide those services to our community. So I am aware that that is going on in the county, but for me to speak of it from sort of a layman's term, that's not my expertise or my lane, and so I'm very hesitant to comment on that.
I guess I was referring to one individual, in particular Alicia, who works with you out in the field.
Yes. Yeah, I think that they do a great job. That entire department right now has made a huge turnaround in the last 3 to 4 years with the new director there and the services that they're bringing in, and they're getting better every day. They have a mobile crisis team now, which they've never had in Lake County before, which is huge for us and it's huge for the community, where those people are actually going out and meeting with people that are in that crisis situation in their homes where they're comfortable, and trying to prevent them from having to be taken to the hospital or get to the point where law enforcement has to be called now and we have to deal with a crime. So they've made those leaps and bounds there, and they're just expanding that program as it goes along. And there's a lot of state funding coming down for that, which I think is great, and it's going to help the community.
You also alluded to behavioral health within the department.
Yes.
Can you speak to that a
Yes.
little bit? How are you and your department staff staying healthy?
Yeah. So that's a goal of mine that I think in law enforcement we've failed at over the 26 years that I've been here. We failed at that within law enforcement. Let's be honest, our deputies see things that people should not have to see on a daily basis or in their lives, and have to go deal with things, and that leaves a mark. I think the best analogy that I ever heard in my life was, Every day you go to work, you're wearing a backpack. Think of a cop. Every day they go to work, they're wearing a backpack. And every day they're on shift, they're taking rocks and they're just putting rocks in that backpack. And that starts to create weight, and sooner or later that weight's going to crush them, and then we're going to have problems, behavioral problems, alcohol problems, drug problems, domestic violence problems, use of force problems, abnormal behavior problems. All these things stem from all of this trauma that they see. If we're not doing anything to help them unload that backpack, to kind of get that burden off of them, we're burning them out. They're more likely when they show up to a scene to be short-tempered, to be discourteous, to be rushed, so on and so forth. So we're developing programs within the sheriff's office to alleviate some of that, to kind of help them get rid of those rocks in their backpacks so that when they come out to the community, they're not carrying as much weight with them. You're always going to carry weight. I mean, there's a lot of things in my head that I've seen in my life that I will never, ever forget. Vividly see them all the time. Those are ones that are there that I'm going to carry. But if I can get rid of some of the things that I'm been adding to over the years, then I'm more capable of carrying these and still serving my community in the correct way that I should be serving my community. So one of those things is we are in contracts and working with building a countywide peer support team, a regional peer support team, and then eventually we are going to contract with a culturally competent psychologist to come in and do mandatory meetings with all of our employees once a year. They're going to be required to go sit down and meet with her and talk to her. I frankly don't care if they talk about the sun or their new truck or whatever, but I want to take the stigma away from meeting with a psychologist, number one, in law enforcement, because in law enforcement, we have the Superman chest. Nobody wants to admit you have a problem. And on a shift, think about it, on a shift, if you have one deputy that goes to see a psychologist, what are the other 4 deputies thinking? What's wrong with him? Why did he have to go see a psychologist? But if I send all 4 of them to the psychologist, what do they say? Oh, yeah, I wouldn't talk to her. Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was okay. They talk about that and they get on with life. So I'm not stigmatizing one deputy. They all have to go. And eventually, if I can do that and I can get 1 or 2 or 3 of those deputies to talk to her because they have that ability, they're not stigmatized, everybody's going, and they can unload that backpack, I got a better employee. I got an employee that's not going to burn out. I got a deputy that's going to stay with our agency longer and that's going to better serve our community.
Thank you. Julia, did you have a question? Yes, I did. Thank you.
Hello, Sheriff. Thanks for coming today. Julia Bono here. I wanted to ask about the local sheriff department facility in Middletown and what its purpose and staffing level is. From recent events, it seems as though we in Middletown are still largely being supported from elsewhere. So I wanted to know what that, and it's got a very odd yard and things.
Yes.
So water conservation is beautiful. Anyway.
Yes. Thank you. It is a substation. It is designed for a deputy, a beat deputy, or the assigned deputy of this area to work out of that station and be there and be in the community all the time. But unfortunately, because of staffing issues, we've had to kind of draw back from that. My goal is within hopefully a year, my first year of being the sheriff after January 1st of 2025, is to have an assigned beat deputy down here that will be working out of that office and be here all the time. But unfortunately, and I don't really like numbers a whole lot, but I just ran some quick numbers before I came down here, so I had them in my head. Only 7%, and that's a lot, but only 7% of the calls for service that the sheriff's office deals with comes out of the Middletown area. That's 7% of 40-something thousand calls for service that we get in a year, 7%. We've got 15, 20, 26% coming out of other communities. So unfortunately, those are the hard decisions that we have to make, is when we have to deploy our resources because we have limited resources, we have to deploy them to areas where we're having higher crimes, we're having more violent crimes, which unfortunately harms Middletown because we don't have a deputy assigned down here. But as staffing improves, that's the goal, is to have somebody down here assigned to that office, working out of that office on a shift basis.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? From the board? From the audience? Going once? Going twice? All right.
And I'll just end with this. Again, my philosophy has always been since I started with the sheriff's office and even today, I work for the community. That's my responsibility. I work for you guys. So I'm more than happy. I'll give you my phone number if you want it. If you guys want to write it down, or my email address. I'm happy to give it to the MATH. You guys can email me or call me at any time if you have questions. That's what I'm here for. That's my responsibility. And if I don't know the answer, because I will fully admit I do not know everything, I will get you in touch with somebody who will be able to answer your question. Okay? Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So next up on the agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes. Everyone has had a chance to look those over. Any changes, any comments? Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Ken. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so moved. Meeting minutes accepted. Correspondence? Ken, would you like to start?
Sure, just a little bit about a new thing here in Lake County. The Lake County Drought and Water Resource Advisory Committee has started. You could find it on their website, County of Lake. And the purpose is for the Drought and Water Shortage Advisory Committee to help us out with the water, droughts and water shortages. So this is a new little program. That's my correspondence. Yeah. It was signed by law by Gavin Newsom, SB 552.
Okay, and then additional correspondence that we received an email from Val Nixon, who is with the Land Trust. And the Land Trust owns Rabbit Hill. And she was inquiring, what she would like to do is either come down and make a presentation. Basically, she's looking for community input on what we would like to see happen with Rabbit Hill. So I'm throwing that out there. Should we invite Val Nixon to come and join us and have a conversation about Rabbit Hill? Yes. I'm seeing by consensus nods. I'm not seeing any of this. So we shall move forward with that. Thank you.
Yeah, especially since they're painting the towers.
Correct.
So it'd be good.
Okay, now we have another additional piece of correspondence that we received, and this is going to take a little bit longer. The County of Lake, for better or for worse, is taking more of an interest in the municipal advisory councils that have been created and formed here, of course, in Middletown, but as well as with the other municipal advisory councils that have been formed in the other areas of the county. With that, they are requesting that we do an annual report to the Board of Supervisors about what we are doing, or comments, suggestions. And so I am, okay. Okay, thank you. So I wanted to open that up for discussion, again, because the way that we have math formatted is that I don't speak for you without your input and ideas. So what I wanted to do briefly is go over just real quickly what we have done so far for the year. I kind of went through our agendas and pulled out some information. If you wouldn't mind taking a moment to listen and then respond, if we can have a little discussion about the items that I will be mentioning that you would like me to include in the annual report to the Board of Supervisors. Additionally, we need to pick a date sometime before the end of September. And of course, I don't want to go alone. The board members, you are all welcome to join me, and of course, anybody from the membership is welcome to attend that meeting. So as much as possible, I'd like to pick a date, sometime in August, September, that works for the majority. Okay, so I'll begin first at just a little recap of what we have covered this year. In January, we did a candidates forum, and of course the math board election. In February, we did a review and update. Let's see. Review and updates on County of Lake news, Community Development Department, Caltrans, the SR 29 South Corridor Plan, and discussion of supervisors' discretionary funds as possible uses that we could use here in the Middletown area. And then we also revisited the bylaws. In March, we had PG&E representative give us an update on the GI landfill project on Butts Canyon Road. And we had the Chief Climate Resiliency Officer report on the survey and priorities here in South Lake County and Lake County. And we approved the bylaws, the bylaw changes that were presented to us by the County Council. And then we had a special meeting on the Gwinnett Valley project due to the pending deadline of the RFR. In April, we approved the letter that we sent out from the group here. We also visited or took a look at the water basket project for Rabbit Hill, and we had the Lake County 2050 Middletown Area Plan Update Community Workshop. In May, we had the discussion of the Rancho Lake Cannabis Cultivation Project on Grange Road, and a follow-up discussion on the Lake County 2050 Middletown Area Plan update. In June, we had the County of Lake mid-year report by Supervisor Moak Simon, and that brings us to today. In August, we'll have the Caltrans report, and hopefully somebody here from the County of Lake to talk to us about roads. So from those items, again, I'd love your input on what you would like to have highlighted for the report to the board. And then other things like, for instance, I really think we need to bring one of our, number one, let me go back to the purpose of math. So just reading the final sentence of the purpose of math is to, let's see, I've got to start there. The math board will serve as the official local community representatives to work with the county, the Lake County Board of Supervisors, or other entities and agencies to provide grassroots input, direction, and guidance on issues related to the unincorporated area of the county defined by the boundaries of the South Lake County Fire Protection District, and will work in conjunction with other organizations therein. These issues include, but not limited to, matters of public health, safety, welfare, public works, planning, and land use. Now, we know over the course of time that we've had an issue with land use projects that go before the Planning Commission, that the timing is always off. We don't get enough notice. And so that's one suggestion I would hope that we're all in agreement with, is to open up, to make comment of that to our Board of Supervisors on how we can perfect that and allow more time or to get more notice on projects so that this body can do what it was intended to do.
May I speak?
Yes. Yes, if you have comments, ideas, points, then please come up to the microphone.
Roger Thornton. I just received a notice from the county that the Board of Supervisors will be handling the new general plan, and local area plan. And I think we should put out a notice to everybody in South County that we have an address for, that's coming, that the general plan is being updated and the area plan is going to be updated. And if they have comments, they should bring them to M.A.T.H and give them to you guys, and so that we can incorporate that whenever the area plan committee is made.
Okay.
I would not
I'm going to
wanna
call
wait
you
till-
on point of order right now, because right now we're discussing the items that we want to bring forward to the Board of Supervisors in our annual report.
That would be part of the annual report, and that would be that we have put out a notice on the area plan for input from the citizenry in South County. I think that's critical. If we wait, the area plan committee is going to be formed, and then we won't have an opportunity to get the concerns of everyone in South County to them in a timely manner.
Okay,
So
I
I think
understand.
that should be our report, that we intend to lobby the South County citizens for their input on the area plan. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I understand your direction now. Thank you.
Hello again, Kate Schmidt-Hopper. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I can get orders of things wrong. Did we not also have CAL FIRE come in and talk about the state fire marshal's new fire hazard map? And I think we had quite a bit of conversation during our meetings about the fire hazard map, and there was an explanation that it was meant to be reflected in building codes and wasn't meant to be used by insurance companies. And of course, we know that that really never happens. But I know that that was a topic that we discussed during our at least one meeting, and there was quite a lively conversation around that. And I think there was even some follow-up with letters, please sending letters out to the state fire marshal's office, complaining about the fact that basically the entire rural counties of California are now in extremely high risk fire hazard mapping, which makes it very difficult to get. That's okay.
So I believe that occurred in 2023. I only went back to January. But yes, we could definitely include that. So, and I would just attach that it happened in 2023.
Okay, this is an ongoing issue.
Correct. Mhm. And we definitely can include items from 2023. I mean, we can include it for, 12-month period. Whatever. This is, to my knowledge, this is the first time that we've been requested to make an annual report. So,
The fire hazard thing was March of '23.
thank you. Yes, Julia.
Hi, Monica. Julia Bono. I wanted to bring up the fact that we seem to have regressed technologically from two-way remote communication to one-way remote communication. Now, perhaps that's been addressed recently, but the movement away from Zoom and toward PEG TV has made it really difficult for people who can't attend in person to be able to participate in meetings. I think this is a massive step backwards. We're basically going back to 20, 25 years technologically. And I think we need to revisit that and see about getting some funds available from, wherever they can be, to have a Zoom operator on hand.
So then you are suggesting that we also have, besides just reporting, that we have a request list, and that this be, so again, this is
Oh,
about
yes.
reporting to the Board of Supervisors. So in addition to reporting what we have done, you also, on the request list, so
Well,
to speak.
Well, reporting that we have moved away from Zoom and that, we can make a request to move back in that direction, perhaps in complementariness with the PEG TV, but to not have it is sending us backwards.
And part of the problem, of course, I think you know, part of the problem with the Zoom is reliable connectivity. So, and that has come and gone, and we saw that some time ago when we had Congressman Thompson here, and he was like bleeping in and out on the screen, and so, I mean, it was kind of sad.
Was he attending via Zoom?
Yes, he was attending via
I see.
Zoom. So, and the connectivity went blah, 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 blah. So,
Yes.
So, recently, Thomas DeWalt, PEG TV station manager.
thank you.
Recently, I made a request to the library. They have improved their internet feed here. We're Zooming now. Not only are we Zooming, but we're streaming. The speeds here are lightning fast. Sometimes you just got to talk and let people know what's going on. And so there's no problem. We're not 25 years behind.
So we're not seeing a link on the agendas or anything to.
I have nothing to do with your agenda. I just come,
Right.
I make this available for the public. I do the Zoom part.
So what's the link?
Because, so,
You would need to talk to whoever your chair is, whoever runs your meetings. That's,
Right there.
okay.
What's the link, Monica?
I have no idea. That's a communication issue I guess Thomas and I need to discuss, and
She puts
No, that's PEG TV. We want the Zoom link.
That is the Zoom link.
What, you can call a phone number? I want to be on my computer.
That's not a phone number. That is a web ID link.
So how do you get there? I don't see a URL.
okay, can we take that offline and let's get back on topic here? Please, in regard to the report for the Board of Supervisors, any other comments from this audience, or would you like to empower the board here to move forward and with some of those highlights that I've just listed? Any additional request? Rosemary?
How about just
So,
giving
you
a
got-
summary of the past agendas for the year?
Yeah, you have to come to the, so Rosemary's suggesting that we do a summary, which is more or less, that's what, so,
If it's gonna be for one, it's gonna be for all.
and I can speak for you too, Fletcher, if you'd like. Fletcher says if it's gonna be for one, it should be for all, so we need to use the mic. Okay, so let me clear this up right now, is that we have the mic here, number one, because this equipment that we have here for PEG TV is expensive, and so we need to be careful with it. The other thing is that this body, this Municipal Advisory Council, just like the others in the county, has to abide by the Brown Act. If you go to the Board of Supervisors meeting, you will see how they conduct business. People don't speak out from the audience. They walk up to the mic. They need to be recognized by the chair before they speak. So this, with having a standing mic, kind of mimics exactly what the Board of Supervisors does in following the Brown Act, in allowing public comment in a peaceful and respectful way, and I'd say also then in respecting the equipment that we have here in the room. So yes, if everybody would utilize the mic, that just is helpful. Thank you. And I'm sorry about the Brown Act. One of the things, okay, and I'll throw this out there, because from the very beginning of the math, I was involved in the startup of math, and I said to Martha Webster, who started this group and was pushing for it to be a municipal advisory council, I said, why? Why not just a town hall? Where then we can speak freely and we can be open, we don't have to follow the Brown Act, and that's something that this group can consider also. We decided we wanted to be a municipal advisory council. I'm not sure exactly how much voice that has bought us. This is just my own opinion. As far as with the Board of Supervisors, this is a group, it's in Middletown, we call ourselves the Middletown Area Town Hall. As our mission statement states, that we want to operate as a town hall, but we are bound by bureaucracy. So there's good and bad in it, and one of the good things, bad things, is the mic, and asking us to utilize the mic and come to the mic and speak, so, and be recognized. So, there we go. But I'm open for discussion also, you know, of like, you know, just dissolving the whole municipal advisory council and calling this a town hall where we just elect a board, you know, and have meetings and discuss things. I'm good with that too. So, but back to order. Now that I've addressed that, back to the business on hand. Again, I accept any comments, you know, or if you're okay with empowering this board to put together a summary based on our past meetings, and we'll present that in an annual report. Again, we'll talk to the Board of Supervisors about connectivity and also about the land use issue and getting documents in a more timely manner. So, and I'll share with you, you know, it's been quite a while now, but several years ago, I was the planning commissioner for District 1. When I served as planning commissioner, we received the reports 10 days out from the date of the meeting. So now the required period of time is the 72 hours. But again, when I served as planning commissioner for a year or two, we got the reports 10 days out, and that's when the public got the reports as well. 10 days is very different than 72 hours. I'm not sure why we can't go back to that. I'm not sure what the difficulty is, but that would be something that I would share with the Board of Supervisors. Any comments from the board? You want to?
Well done.
Oh. Bill, you want to take over the meeting?
No, I don't think so. I am impressed with the fact that we have standing room only, but I think part of what the job of math is, which does include all this, is the fact that we have to recruit from you, the public, our residents, ideas and questions that you have so that we can get people in here to answer those questions like we have tonight. And I think that's what I've been doing, and I know Monica has been doing as well, and others have been doing, bringing up items that should be brought up to a group and see if the entire group is interested in discussing those matters. And that's what I like about it also, because, you know, being the rep from Hidden Valley, there's a lot. I tried to get this involved or going out there as well, and it never did get off the ground. So it's nice to see people show up, and I think that's because there are things that are being brought up here that the public is interested, and I think it needs to go to the Board of Supervisors.
Yes, Kate.
Kate Schmidhopper again. I would agree that with your summary, I think that Rosemary had a point about utilizing the agenda. I think Ken has written some brilliant minutes, including this past minutes, where you really consolidated a lot of discussion quite brilliantly. And so I think that in my humble opinion, the board using our agendas and Ken's brilliant minutes, that you can come to develop a very nice year-end report or year report to the September date. And so I would so move that we would allow the board with those public papers that are available to everyone in this room, that you would consolidate those into a report for the Board of Supervisors.
And I would add that the minutes have always been approved and the agenda by this body. So that's excellent. Thank you, Rosemary.
We have a second from Rosemary.
Any further discussion? Got a first and a second. Yes, we have one comment here.
Hi, Carlos Bono. I'm a member of the community, and I've been attending these meetings for several years. And yes, it would be nice for people that could answer questions to come, and one of those people is our supervisor, who is mostly absent, and I've seen him twice in the times that I've come, and I think that should be included in the report to the Board of Supervisors, that our supervisor is MIA. You know, he's supposed to be here, isn't he? I mean, isn't that part of his job?
You would have to ask him. It's not in the math bylaws or anything. So
Yeah.
that there's a requirement.
There's no requirement for him to be here.
But we
Oh,
do
okay.
have new supervisors running, so
Well, we'll
we
see.
need to turn their ear.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Fletcher
Mr.
Thornton. As far as the supervisor coming here, and the first supervisor when we formed this thing is here, so outside of eyebrows, what his name was that? The first one, who? Ed Rovey, yeah. I just call him eyebrows.
Hey, don't get too far off track here.
No.
Okay. Bring us
It
back.
is not required for the supervisors to be here. The whole idea of math, and it's stated in the bylaws, is that this body comes together and gets a response from the community, and then informs the supervisor what our concerns were, and that he should present them to the Board of Supervisor. I beg your pardon?
Or she.
Or she, okay, yeah, well, I must be right. Am I pretty well correct on that, Jim? You were here. That's exactly, we never,
Okay.
we didn't, wait, I'm not finished, so I got 3 minutes. We didn't.
No, you don't have 3 minutes, but
What
you
do I-
have 2
what- okay,
minutes.
you're gonna call me out of order?
No, well, I just want you to stay on topic for what we're going to present to the Board of Supervisors. So basically, you're saying, no, we don't want that last comment
Okay,
stated.
Then why does the person before me get up and start talking about the supervisor not being here? You let him talk.
Let's go on.
Huh?
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
move on. But I'm right, and you know I'm right.
Okay.
But anyway, the supervisor is our representative. He's not required to be here. As a matter of fact, I discouraged him from coming except every quarter, so we could give him an update. He doesn't give us an update, we give him an update.
I totally agree.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any other comments? Okay, so I'm sorry, because we have a first and a second, so I allowed, of course, Carlos to speak because he was standing here in line when you made your motion. So, and then, so then we had another speaker, and so we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I see no hands. Okay, so moved. Board, we have a little job to do. Thank you. Okay, back to the agenda. Where are we? Oh, so now we are, any other correspondence? Anybody else on the board receive anything that they want to share?
Nope.
Okay. So the next item on our agenda is the Rancho Lake LLC, and if you recall, we had, this was basically brought up with the idea that we were just reporting out because at the time this was on the agenda, that item was scheduled to be on the Planning Commission agenda the morning of our math meeting date. And so it was just going to be a report out on whatever the Planning Commission decided. Because again, that was a land use item that didn't get to us in a timely manner. But then it was postponed. So we began discussions about it. We had the information that was sent out. Some people received it, many people did not. So we resent that information with the idea, since it was brought up, and we had the Comstocks here and they spoke about the project. Again, because this is under our purview of things that this body could be involved in if they so choose. And so hence this is a discussion and a decision about whether or not M.A.T.H wants to make a comment or a statement on this project. At this point in time, at least to my knowledge, we are unaware of a date because it was removed from the Planning Commission calendar just postponed with no pending date. So we don't have a date. It may come on the calendar in September, it may not. Maybe somebody in this room has more information on that than I do. But regardless, this is a project that we have time to formulate a decision or a comment on if we so choose to. If we're not interested, if nobody wants to explore that any further, then we move on. So again, I ask you as a body, is this project something that this body should comment on or not? Sorry, Fletcher, we're keeping you awake by having you get up and down.
This is important. May I ask the chair a question?
Yes, if
Okay.
I can answer.
Do you know whether or not there are any variances or special requests on this project before the board? Do they want anything special, or are they in compliance on all of the ordinances relative to cannabis?
I have no idea. Again, until it's presented at the Planning Commission meeting and all the facts are in, I couldn't answer that.
Yeah.
Because one party could say yes and the other party could say no.
Well,
And
I
somebody
don't care
in the
what
middle
the,
may say a variety of things. You're
I
asking
don't
me?
care what the parties say. What does the planning commission say? Because the parties are going to take their side no matter.
The Planning Commission has not heard this project yet. It has
Okay.
not come before the Planning
Then
Commission.
I think we should delay any action on this until such time as we have full information. I remember this. Somebody was going to make a statement about being opposed to it, but they didn't show up. And they still haven't shown up as far as I know. So I would ask that we table this and wait till we get some input about this project.
Well, we have input about the project. It is not complete at this point. And so the question to this body is, do we move forward with some of the information that we have? So when we respond, in just response to you, when we respond to RFRs, we don't have all the information either. But we make a response of what this body is interested in and wants to make sure is covered or included. So because we don't have all those facts, you don't get all those facts until you actually attend the Planning Commission meeting and you hear the information from all parties and you see all the reports.
Okay, so I want to make sure I understand. So what you're saying is the county's got the cart before the horse.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, if they have all the information is not available and they ask us for our opinion, how can we give our opinion, educated opinion, without knowing all the facts?
I guess I would say, do you have all the information you have to live your entire life?
I'm going to talk about my life. We're talking
So,
about
I
this
mean,
project.
I'm just saying, not you in particular, but our life. I mean, information comes to us every day.
Oh, I know, but
New information
I'm just
comes,
afraid
so-
we're going to take action that will cause
It's
a
not,
problem.
okay, let me explain something too. As far as taking action doesn't mean that we say we're for or against a project. It means that this body says what they are interested to make sure that we are concerned about the water or that we're concerned about this. It doesn't say that we say yes or no on the project. We don't have to take a position. We just have to, or we might want to, we don't have to, we might want to say our concerns about, we're concerned about traffic or we're concerned about whatever. So, and maybe then all those things are taken care of. So because, then mitigation measures are created because of issues
Sure,
that we have brought
sure,
up
I
that we have a
understand.
concern.
I understand. But for me, I'm going to get my head around worrying about traffic on a piece of property that's at the end of a dead-end road and a private road going in for miles.
Okay.
Why should we worry about traffic? So I'm just saying we have to be careful.
Did you, and I do mean to interrupt, but I don't mean to
That's all
interrupt.
right.
But
I'm
the
used to
point,
that.
I think the point, you really said it all right in the very beginning. And I think what you needed to do was make that in the form of a motion. And that is make a motion that the whole thing be tabled until after it's heard by the Board of Supervisors and we get a response back and know what's going on with the project. I think that's really a good thing, and if you didn't want to make it into a motion, I will.
Okay.
Okay, but I'm a little nervous about that, as she
I'm
pointed
going
out.
to interrupt.
I think you're right in one way. We don't have all the information, and we're not making a decision. We're only trying to decide whether or not we want to have input. But without knowing what the things are going to look like at the end, it's hard to ask intelligent questions. We may say, well, do they have water? Well, it just so happens you got 9 billion gallons of water. So we're wasting our time.
Well, I think the people that are here to inform us of what the project is and how much water they have and the size. So there is information that I would like to hear.
Okay, I've
So,
just expressed
before
my
we
opinion.
make a motion,
I
I
thank you
think-
for your time.
Yeah, thank you. But I would like to correct something that my fellow board member said. If we wait till a project that goes to the Board of Supervisors, number one, the project may or may not ever go to the Board of Supervisors. The process is that a project comes together, a person presents, a developer presents a particular project. So they want to move forward with that project. They do their due diligence. They talk to the county, the community development department. They move their project forward. They find out what steps they need. The information is then sent out to all the agencies in the RFR that then give comment, including like CAL FIRE, the Sheriff's Department, roads, depending on what impacts that project has. All of this is done in preparation for that project to be presented before the Planning Commission. When it goes before the Planning Commission, that project, there are different parts to it that the commissioners should respond to or should listen to or hear out. Number one, they're looking at whatever the agency comments were. They're looking at the staff report from the staff. But mind you, the staff has basically gotten their information from the project developer. So, and then they also take in input from neighbors. If you recall, if you've been subject to this, is that if you're within 700 or 750 feet, you'll get a notice of any project that's happening in your neighborhood, because then you're invited to, with that notice basically, is your invitation to comment on that project and what impacts it may or may not have on you. All of this information is gathered, and then there is what's called a public hearing in front of the Planning Commission, where the commissioners also listen to the public that comes forward and other entities and organizations and agencies, including an organization like M.A.T.H. So, and the planning commissioners then put all of this information together and make their decision. It's not based just on the staff report. It's not just based on what the developer has put forward. It's all of it combined together to be a good project for that community. So it's heard by the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission makes a ruling for or against the project. The applicant or those that maybe oppose the project both have a right to appeal the decision if they want, if everybody's happy, which sometimes happens. A project goes through, it's a good project, or they've done enough mitigation measures to make it work. So anyway, but the project moves forward. If it's appealed, then it goes to the Board of Supervisors. And the Board of Supervisors make the final decision. But that project, if there's no appeal to it, if nobody appeals the decision of the Planning Commission, it doesn't ever go to the Board of Supervisors. Okay? Thank you. Wait.
Unfortunately, my microphone's not working, so someone on Zoom would like to see this come to discussion. All major developments should have public input, and M.A.T.H is one such opportunity.
Thank you.
They have code that they can't see.
Hi, good evening. My name is Sarah Bodner, and I'm a land use consultant, and I'm here representing the co-applicants on this project. And I can provide just a little bit of background that might explain why the hearing didn't happen and why we still don't have a date for it.
Okay.
It's been 3 years that we've been waiting for a date, so trust me when I say we all wish we knew when. This project was being managed by the cannabis program manager and who took a new job in Napa, and so it got handed off right as we were about to cross the finish line to a new planner. And they have to finish up the staff report. And then when our hearing was proposed, there also was not a quorum for the commissioners who are down one member kind of until further notice. So we don't yet have a date to answer that specific question. And we have some people in the room that I think can answer some of the other questions that you raised about are there actual variances? Because that's not an opinion, that's a fact. Like either we request variances or not on a project. So we have consultants that could talk about it. And our hope was just to show up tonight and put some faces to this project. And whatever you decide to do, whether you want to discuss it, once the agenda packet comes out and there's an actual project to review, because that staff report is not yet complete. It's not like this is hidden away somewhere in the county right now and you can't read it. There's an early version, right, of the proposed project that was circulated for review. And we don't have that final staff report and agenda packet yet. But we do have humans here who represent the project. We've got the Comstock family sitting up front who are the co-applicants. And then we also have Ned and John in the back. You guys just wave your hands. They're the co-applicant and the cultivation experts that will be running this project. And we'd be happy to participate in a hearing should M.A.T.H decide to take this up and answer any questions. If you have concerns about certain topics, we've also got our environmental consultant, Trey, who's standing right behind me, and he did all the environmental analysis on the project. And so he's going to do a brief intro and just talk about the domains that he covered. And, I think it's totally up to you all if you want to hold a hearing on that, but we're happy to participate.
Well, before we move on with that, I would like to get, because the item on the agenda is really not to discuss the project itself, but to find out from this body whether we want to continue to discuss this project or whether we want to just leave this aside and deal with it whenever it comes up in the future, or whatever this body decides, which I guess this body then is maybe minus some of you who are only here to speak and tell us more about the project. So, but your opinion. So whether we want to discuss this, whether M.A.T.H wants to, the question is basically whether or not M.A.T.H wants to submit any comment at all on this project, or whether we just want to let this go and we're not interested in it as a body.
Well, I'll just close by saying the Comstocks and the co-applicants are happy to be part of that discussion should you choose to bring it forward for that. Thanks.
Well, I'll make a motion that we listen to these people that are here today. They're here to present the information. I'd like to hear the information.
Okay. Then we'll move forward. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Well, you have, again, this isn't a 10-minute presentation. You have 2 minutes like everybody else. Okay?
My name is Trey Sherrill. I'm the environmental, as Sarah alluded, I'm the environmental consultant that prepared the Rancho Lake major use permit application. Thank you. And I prepared a little one-page synopsis just on everything I could cram into one page, plus an image on the back I'd like to provide with you. And I just wanted to say that I'm here to answer any questions. Any questions, concerns, I would love to hear them and respond and do my best tonight.
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm
Yes,
Rosemary,
Rosemary.
but
Oh, I see.
Lisa Kaplan sent
Okay.
a text saying she wants to hear the discussion. And we actually had a major use permit emailed to us in December from the secretary. So we do have some of the documents on the major use permit for the Rancho Lake project.
Correct.
And I assume that you guys are here just to get our support as your neighbors. But once we do actually have a major use permit, hopefully we'll get the RFR, and then we can have a more formal discussion, I think, where we make decisions about whether or not we're saying we're abstaining of saying we have an opinion on it or we have a strong opinion on it. We've certainly had strong opinion on cannabis projects in the past, and I want to leave room for that. And particularly when the neighbors are coming in and it actually is part of our municipal board responsibility, I think, to respond to the major use
And
permit
it
when
is-
that happens.
It is within the Middletown area plan, but just, Rosemary, again, one point, the RFR, we're past that stage. There is no RFR. That happened a while ago.
Oh,
So
did it
we
already
are,
go to planning? I thought.
we are moving, no, it hasn't gone to planning, but it was once on the planning commission's agenda. It just got postponed to a time uncertain. So the next thing that we're going to get is basically a 72-hour notice of the project that's going to be heard by the planning commission on one of the Thursdays that it meets. And then we'll get the staff report. So that's why I'm bringing this up now, because in 72-hour notice, we won't have time to respond then. So if there's general responses that this body wants to develop and submit to the planning department prior to that, we have the opportunity on this particular project, not.
Right, but of course
always.
we can't really do that without the documents supporting the application, right? We'd have to be able to
Yeah,
read those.
you have the documents that were attached to the agenda that was supposed to be a couple months ago.
Yeah, and
So-
they're quite short. They're not like the previous projects, like the We Grow one that was behind.
There's a lot of documents there. So I'm not sure all the attachments that were on the attachment that our secretary
Yeah, at the
sent
bottom
out.
there's a PDF link, but it doesn't bring up more. I don't know. You can see if your phone's doing it. My phone doesn't.
Well,
seem
it's
to be,
probably not
yeah.
on your, yeah, it's not probably coming up on your phone. In the email on a computer, they pop up. There's a long list of attachments. So you're right. I mean, we don't have the final information from the staff report, but we will get that with 72-hour notice, the way that the county currently does business with us. We'll get 72 hours notice. Yes, Mr. Comstock.
Good evening. I'm Jim Comstock. Our name is on that. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I'll tell you a little bit about our history. We're 7th generation ag farming and ranching in the North Bay area. And my dad came onto our ranch in 1943, so it's 81 years ago. We've been in continuous ag there for 81 years. And our ranch was part of the original Quinnock land grant. It is the last remaining intact portion of that Quinnock land grant that is wholly owned by individuals, and that's us. And we take that very seriously, and we're trying to preserve that. That's why we're trying to keep our ranch going. Our ranch had many owners over the years, and they ended up always selling it. We have not. In 83 years, or excuse me, in 81 years, we're still there. I've personally lived there all but about 6 years. I'm old, I'm 74. All but about 6 years I've lived there. I know and love that place intimately. Our family does. At my dad's funeral, when I was 28 years old, my uncle, our attorney, said, "What do you want to do with the ranch?" I'm a 28-year-old kid with no money. Our ranch, we had land, no money. And my uncle said, "Well, I ain't making any more land in California. Let's see what we can do." Well, 46 years later, we're still there. It hasn't been easy, but it has been worth it. Ranching in Lake County's always been hard. I always had to have another job to keep it going, and I gladly did that. And that's what we've always done. We as a family thought long and hard before even considering a cannabis project. There are many other things that we could have done that would have had much greater impact on the land. We have discovered, especially visiting one of Ned's projects, his farming practices are fantastic. This is an ag product, and actually cannabis is included in the Lake County Ag Report last year. So it's a recognized ag product. And I was on the Board of Supervisors, and I was involved in going to visit multiple illegal grows. I've never seen anything nastier than some of the illegal grows. In fact, Sheriff Bingham and I were involved in one together. It was one of the most horrible things I've ever seen. Sheriff Brian Martin made the statement, every legal grow eliminates an illegal grow. I hope that that's true. It's our goal to do that, to incorporate this ag product into our community here that aids our community, gives tax base. The county gets considerable amount of taxes from it. It's a benefit to the community. It's a benefit to the county. Like I said, we've considered many options over the years, and the long-term effect of this for us as a family, I'm going to be personal, is to protect our ranch so that it can continue for generations beyond me, so that they can have the same experiences, the same lifestyle that we've had. And that's why we're entering it into this with Ned and with his people. It is well done, good operation. We've seen one. It looks like any well done ag project, and that's why we're doing it. And I'm sure I went a little beyond my 2 minutes.
Thank you. Next, and I would like to remind everybody that we are at 8:30, so at 8:32. So, so I just want to put that out there. We do have to, I don't know, when do we have to be out of the room? I don't know who our contact is now.
Right. I think it's still Susie.
Okay.
It's still Susie.
Okay. So anyway, yes.
Hi, Trace Earl again, environmental consultant for Rancho Lake. I just wanted to, now that everyone's had a chance to look at the one-page synopsis, just wanted to say that, I concentrated on pesticides and water usage because in my experience, those have been common concerns around proposed cannabis projects. I also just wanted to comment that if you flip it over, you'll see the location of the proposed cultivation operation, and we chose that location because it was an existing ag field that had already experienced, previous plowing and tilling in the past, and that was also sheltered from populate the Hidden Valley Lake community by a hill, so that it would not be visible from the community. And then finally, I just wanted to say that I'm available for any questions. Thank you, and thank you.
Thank you. Julia? You have
I just had a chance to look over this document. I think I'm very happy to see that they're using almost exclusively organic pesticides, which I think will make the neighbors very much more comfortable with the project. Also, I see that it's roughly on a par with irrigated orchards. So let's ask ourselves, if this was going to be a big organic apple orchard, would we really be having a problem with it? I think we should wholeheartedly get behind projects like this because people who have large ranches need to pay their property taxes, and they need to do it in some way. And I would much rather see them growing cannabis than harming animals. So if we can replace all the ranchers who are harming animals in this county with cannabis growers, organic cannabis growers, I think that would be wonderful. So kudos to the Comstocks for considering the alternative. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Lisa. I have COVID today, so I'm home. I just wanted to say that I have nothing against cannabis. I just would like to hear more, learn more, and ask more questions since the Comstocks are available about details. To me, it's also about light. It's also about noise, things like that. And I live not far, and I'd like to know more. And I'm not against the project. It's all about the devils in the details and where can we compromise and reach agreements.
Thank you. You have well, we're not, well, okay.
Yeah, I didn't think we were discussing this today, actually.
Well, we're discussing whether we want to discuss this or not.
Yeah.
So that's all. We're not really supposed to be hearing the project, and all the details about the project today. The idea was to discuss it, whether we want to do that, in which case then we would book it as an agenda item and we would come up with an opinion from M.A.T.H. So,
Yes.
or comments from M.A.T.H. So that's what today's purpose of having it on the agenda was to, I wanted to find out from you whether you want this to be on the agenda in the future to really discuss the project in detail, in which case then we would extend an invitation to both the applicant and to other parties involved. So,
Can I make a motion that we put it on the agenda in the
I
future?
second the
and-
motion.
Okay. And then they're welcome back.
I'd also like to make a motion to support the project wholeheartedly. I think
So you
Matt.
second her
Okay.
motion.
Yes, I do.
well, we're not doing that
Okay.
today.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Okay, so we made a motion that it goes to the agenda.
yes,
To be
exactly.
determined.
So we
Okay.
have a first and we have a second, and then we have another speaker at the microphone. Hi, Fletcher.
I'll yield to the motion if you want me to.
That would be fine.
Okay, process is a killer when you're trying to get something done. A process is, I know firsthand that the process at the county can be a killer. All the time that the process is going, it's costing somebody money, either in lack of income or cost for loans or whatever. So I'm all in favor of getting this done and getting out of it tonight if we can, so that the process doesn't continue for another month or maybe 2 or 3 months before we can get anything done. I would like to make a friendly amendment to the motion that we get out of this and not take a position unless we are requested by the Planning Commission to do so.
That's not the
Okay.
motion.
The planning,
Well, revise the motion on the table, if you would.
The motion is.
okay,
to
we have a
table
motion
it
and a second.
Table it?
We'll be taking
till
a
we put it
vote.
on the agenda.
We will put it
Oh, I
on.
didn't hear there was a motion to table.
Well, it
Well,
was to-
it's not to table, it's to put it on the agenda for a future agenda, which would likely be next month.
Or the month after, and
Yes.
the month after,
So
and
then
we
we can
continue.
Continue the discussion.
Okay, we have a first and a second.
And a second.
So we will take a vote on that. We hear what you're suggesting, so we first have to take a vote on the first and the second. That is on the table now. So, and the motion is, you made
To
the
have a
motion?
further discussion on the agenda in a meeting in the next month or two. So we have more information that will be gathered and then formal presentation, and we can revisit everything that people were discussing tonight. And we'll have more time.
Okay, so we had a first, and the second was Rosemary? Is that right?
Carlos.
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 Oh,
seconded it.
Carlos, second. Okay, thank you, Carlos. So, vote on that? Yes, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, there's one in opposition. So, motion carries.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
what she just said, and I understand, that we can discuss this in 30 to 60 days. 60 days. Do you realize what that means to a project that is coming online in the middle of the summer? 60 days puts them in early fall, and then maybe they can get a grading permit
I
to
think
go.
the motion passed, didn't it?
I'm not speaking against the motion, I'm just saying,
But Mr.
we ought to
Then-
consider
then
what
can we
effect
just move
the
on?
But
stupid
Mr.
thing.
Thornton, but we're not,
never
but
mind.
we're
You
not
gu- you
causing the
guys-
delay. But we're not causing the delay. The planning department has delayed the project. So what may happen is that the planning department may put this on their agenda next month before we meet. And again, we'll get 72-hour notice, in which case then I would talk to the board here and say, should we call a special meeting? Or it'll just pass. and we won't ever discuss this again. Do you understand? Nope, he's, okay, he's checked out. Okay.
Should I just sit down, or can I mean, it's over, but I have.
Correct.
So should I just sit down?
You have a comment on this
Sure.
project?
I'll make one last comment.
Okay, please.
My name is Marshall Comstock. I am Jim and Colleen Comstock's son. I represent the next generation of the Comstock Ranch, along with my sister, my older brother. If anyone has any questions, feel free to come to us as a family. We're happy to talk to you about the project. Any concerns? I mean, we are here, part of the community. We want to work with the community. So in the meantime, before this is discussed even, if you have questions, come to us. We're happy to talk to you. Feel free to reach out. You probably know where to find us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is, and I'm going to use this as an example, is basically a discussion and decision at whether or not we hold a candidates forum for the District 1 supervisor. So it's only whether or not we want to have a forum. So again, we're not going to have the candidates here tonight speaking about their positions and telling us all about their candidacy or the reason why they're running. We are just deciding as a body whether or not we want to hold a candidates forum. That would be in September or October.
Madam, may I?
Yes.
I'm all in favor of forums. Our candidates, an opportunity for the candidates to come and speak to this body. What I don't like is the process that we've used in the past. We allow one person to get the questions together, and the audience or the people that are in the community have no opportunity to speak face to face and question the people face to face to get an answer. And I think that if we're going to do that, and I'm all in favor of doing it, I'm in favor of the chairperson running the meeting and opening it as an open forum rather than people have to email or send questions in. I like the idea of being face to face with the candidates so we can see how they react to a question. So that's my recommendation, that we have a forum, but it be run by the chairman of this committee, chairperson, and that
I make a
it be an open.
recommendation that we do not have the forum here. We're going to have one at Twin Pine Casinos. There'll be like a duplication of the same thing, and it'd be okay with me just to have the one at Twin Pines.
I haven't heard that we're having one at Twin Pine.
Yes, the Chamber of Commerce is going to host it.
Well, my answer to that is it'll be the same as always. You know, you get the questions. A lot of people come and they sit there and listen to the questions somebody else. I just think if we're going to represent this body, represent the people of South County, then we ought to give them a chance to come and sit here and talk to the candidates.
And
by
the
the
people
way,
could do that at the Twin Pine Casino just as
is
well.
he interrupting me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
Should we take a vote?
Don't do it again.
no.
I'll do what I feel like doing,
No, I
Mr.
would like to allow anybody who wants to speak on this to speak. So, and then, yes, and then I would accept a motion, you know, again, whether we do a forum or not. So.
My
but-
motion is that we do a forum with the chairperson and setting it up
Okay,
and
before, can
moderating
you hold
it.
that motion for just a moment?
Sure.
Because there's somebody behind you that wants to speak, and I want to make sure we hear from everybody who wants to have a say before we consider a motion, if you don't mind. So,
Okay, I yield.
okay. Because this topic was put on here as discussion also, so I'd like to get everybody's viewpoint. Go ahead, Julia.
Thank you. I think we have a forum somewhere else. We have heard from these candidates already in this room. I think that we have other issues that we should be dealing with, and I would move to not have a forum. Thank you.
Okay. Rosemary?
There are going to be other elections that are happening in November. Maybe there should be a forum for maybe other elections. I know my seat at the water board is up, and I don't know if it's going to be a contested election, but it might help to hear. I don't know if school board's happening. We might want to get a sense of what the ballot's going to look like and have candidates for other offices as
You're
well.
right, I didn't think about the water board, so, you're right. Anybody else have a comment on whether or not to have a forum, or? Okay. Anybody have a motion?
I had a motion. I had a motion to.
Okay.
Are you talking now? Because I want to talk at the same time you talk. I asked the chair to monitor people that are interrupting the speaker. I think that I have the floor. One other thing that we should talk about that I mentioned to the chairperson earlier, candidates cannot come forward in a meeting that is governed by the Brown Act and mention that they're candidates and so on. So we should refrain from letting them do that or telling them that they cannot do that.
That's a point of order. That's not.
Well, okay, well, we're running out of time, and I made it a point of order.
One of the reasons are because we keep being distracted. So let's get back to this.
My motion is that we hold a forum at the chairperson's discretion, and that they be allowed to run the forum.
I have a point of order. Anybody in here planning to run? Because in October, November, December, we are taking nominations for the math board. Okay? So, and I believe some of us are exhausted. So please consider running for the math board, all right? Thank you. I got to put that little plug in there.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
Fletcher.
Thank you.
Motion in favor of doing it.
Okay, wait. So you have a motion that you would like to do a forum and have the chair and have it run and have open questions. That's your motion.
The motion is to have it.
Okay, all those in favor, or no?
Correct.
Second it, we need a second, and then we vote.
Is there a second?
There is a second.
Okay.
Can you repeat this as two yes forum or no forum?
Yes. For
Yes.
This is a
forum.
yes forum. So,
Okay.
and your feeling is we need to talk about,
No.
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 So it's just yes
So
or
we have
no
it-
on the
How
forum?
we do it is, the vote is for yes or no on the forum. The procedures and
You're right.
everything can be set up for discussion at another time. We're just doing yes or no for the forum.
No.
And we have a motion and we have a
Not
second.
yet.
Okay, so all those in favor?
All those in favor of doing a forum? Can we have a show of hands, please? Okay, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, all those not in favor of doing a forum? Okay, the not in favors are the majority.
Okay, so Julia can make her motion.
No, we've just decided.
Oh,
There's no,
Okay,
we just
I
did a motion on a
Okay.
yes or a no forum, we're
Okay.
done. Whew. Public input. Public input. 3 minutes, anybody has 3 minutes to speak on.
yes, okay.
I'm just saying, I haven't had an email from the town hall since April. We talked about this last meeting. I really hope you can get that fixed, because I'd love to get the emails.
Yeah, I'm doing my best to get them out, Rosemary, and let me know if you're not getting it by a text or in a timely way or something.
So I wouldn't know when you send it, because I don't know that I'm missing
Give
it,
me
but I
your
can tell you I
email.
haven't had one since April.
Give me your email, when I get mine, I'll email you. And that way we'll make sure.
Yeah, but, you know, something's wrong.
Okay, yeah, definitely, definitely.
Okay. Public,
Yeah.
okay.
On,
Secretary is trying to.
is it okay for me to talk? I can't hear Kim.
Yeah, use mine.
Julia,
Same issue here.
I know, but
No-
you guys are busy talking over there, so
No
Julia's.
math meeting notification or agenda since May for me. So that's two. We brought it up at the last meeting. That was an issue. Again, we're bringing it up again. This really needs to be addressed. Two, board members or former board members are not getting notifications. We need this, please. I have to go to the post office and look.
Part of it has to do with the mass mailing. So that again, it's connectivity sometimes, as far as that the group mail goes out and then it just leaves off some. Not
I
everybody.
agree with you.
Well,
I
maybe
would
we
like
should be using
everyone to,
MailChimp or something that's
know,
more
we-
reliable
we-
instead
we
of
need
just
to
like
do
CC.
something, and this is my last term as secretary. I'll try my best.
Can I help
And
you with it?
Yes, of course.
Call me anytime.
I can. And Fletcher was kind enough to mention to me that the only thing required in the bylaws is it gets posted in the post office. So, is it? Well, somebody took it down. It was
Seriously?
posted by me.
Yeah.
Like you said, this is my last term,
And it would have
hopefully-
to, as you know, we are volunteer board members here, and we do the best that we can. But thank you for bringing this to our attention, and Rosemary also. And we'll see what we can do. And again,
I'm offering help here
Okay.
as well.
Okay, thank you.
So let me know, because I do lots of emails, and I'm more than happy to help.
Okay.
The other thing I wanted to mention, is this the time when we mention public events?
This is, yes,
Yeah,
public
she
is
just
Okay,
said
yes.
public events. I wanted to mention that the Rainbow Church of Living Light is holding a Freedom Feed this Saturday from 6 to 8 p.m. Free food, free music, all organic plant-based food. We have sponsors, and we would love to have all of you come and join us. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have something on Facebook, which I didn't know or Zoom. I didn't know we were doing Zoom. But
I'm very happy we're doing Zoom because I couldn't come today, and
Yes,
I
I
like
know.
participating in this. This is Lisa Kaplan, and I just want to let everybody know that on the 27th of July, we're opening a new exhibit at Trailside Park. So plan to come and join us at Trailside from 6 to 8 p.m. and see the new work. We've been working hard, and we're working even harder right now to meet a deadline, and we hope to see you there.
thank you. Yes.
I have three things, so I'll be as quick as I can. First off, the senior center, which is right next door, suffered a loss over the 4th of July weekend. The refrigerators went out. They lost $3,500 worth of food. So we've been doing a grassroots kind of donation. I donated 100, and we're trying to get the $3,500 back to replace all the food that was lost. Also the air conditioner went out, so that is now fixed, and the refrigerator is fixed. But another way that you can donate is over at Grocery Outlet. If you add $5 onto your bill, then you will get a scanner, a coupon, I forget what you call them. And when you, July 16th through the 31st, you can get that $5 back in groceries as long as you spend $25. But it's a way to give $5 and you get the $5 back. They're currently at $6,000 and they're trying to raise $8,000, and that's separate from the $3,500. So if you're at Grocery Outlet, you want to donate, it's $5, or you can do more than $5. The second thing, Marlene is not here today, is Movies in the Park this Saturday night. It starts at dark, and it's going to be, all of a sudden I lost it, Dirty Dancing. Okay, so I saw your face. But, there's a lot of adults that go to the movies in the park, so it's the first time they've had something that's more adult. So that's all I can say, and, And then the last thing is when everybody leaves tonight, if you'll walk by and look at the beautiful new bathroom, there's a beautiful sculpture on the side of it. And it's open.
Okay. So my comments are, as you leave tonight, if you would help us fold up the chairs. So we do have to fold up the chairs and stack them. And also I wanted to say that Mama will be having a mixer at Star Gardens next Thursday. Anyway, look at the Mama newsletter. So, but it will also feature, I put in a plug for myself, our vineyards wine. So Star Gardens and I are teaming up for the Mama Mixer. So join us for that event. And they have also set a date the second Saturday in December for Christmas in Middletown. So please mark your calendar. Okay. You're in control.
Can I speak? Is that what
Oh.
is?
Yes. Zoom.
Yeah. I would imagine that people are curious about what's happening with the water tanks, and that was mentioned earlier. So I just want to give another quick update, and that is that I'm just waiting for the tribe to vote on the final selections, and then the Calliope, and then we'll make all the decisions public. Thank you.
One more.
Thank you. Okay, Nanette?
Okay, I forgot to mention, I was trying to go so fast. If you're interested in the grassroots donation, just come to the senior center, ask for me or look for me. I'm always there at lunchtime, and I'll direct you to the person who's collecting the donations. We've just been writing a check, or some people give $50. One nice person gave $250 today, so we want to reach that goal of 3,500.
And thank you, everyone, for coming and sitting through this meeting and offering your comments. So we do appreciate that. The community appreciates that. And I will accept the motion to adjourn. Thank you, Mr. Thornton. Second by Bill. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Thank you.